Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Michael Kadenacy. He's the chairman of the Washoe County Republican Party for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
The holidays are upon us, a time of celebration, family gathering, and gratitude. There are gifts to be wrapped, feasts prepared, love shared, and memories made. Life is precious, so let us cherish each other and all that we have. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We thank you for letting us enrich your lives, and thank you for your support throughout the year. Happy holidays.
RANNV.org.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
I'm back on Nevada Newsmakers. We are pleased to welcome back to the program after a long absence, and that's my fault. It's a pleasure to have you back, Michael Kadenacy. He's the chairman of the Washoe County Republican Party. Pleasure to have you here, sir.
Well, thank you for having me.
Mindy Elliott, who helped me book you for the show, said you've got to ask Michael about his history because it's fascinating. So tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, I'm actually an immigrant to the United States. I was born in London, but my parents were actually refugees from France because of the war. So I was born in London, but came to the United States when I was 3 years old. I was raised on the East Coast, went to school here, became a citizen when I was 18. And the only reason I became a citizen was I was going into the Air Force in the officer training program. I graduated with my navigator wings and a second lieutenant and served 6 years in the Air Force, most of it in the Air Commandos, which is known now as Special Operations. I flew 85 combat missions in Vietnam.
Wow.
I decided that was getting a little boring. So I decided to go out and get my second degree. So I had my choice of doing the MBA graduate records exam or the LSAT. LSAT came up first, so I took it, passed it, and went to law school. Practiced 20 years in Los Angeles, international law, and then I went with one of my clients as a business executive. And I opened up factories in Russia, China, and India, and developed teams in all 3 countries.
So what kind of perspective has that given you?
I think one of the things that that I learned early on, and unfortunately my company that I work for didn't, is that when you travel and meet other peoples, that they're not just Americans who happen to speak a different language. Their cultural base, their thinking processes, everything is different. And you have to be open to try to understand that. And surprisingly, that's paid benefits even in politics, because there are many, many personalities in politics. And if you assume they're all the same, and especially if you assume that their motivations are the same as your own, you're going to get in trouble.
Do you think that Americans in general miss out on the fact that they really don't understand the world the way it is, the way it has been, and we're so insulated?
We are insulated. However, there is a cadre of Americans that do travel. Unfortunately, a lot of them travel what I would call the one Hilton to the next. You have to look at the matchbook to realize which country are you in. What my wife and I have done is we've been living in different countries. We lived in London, we lived in Moscow, we lived in the south of France, and we spent considerable time in India and in China. Enough time, we think, at least to absorb some of how they think. And you have to deal with them differently. They're going to react to things in ways that we find strange, but that's their culture.
So how do the Chinese think, in your estimation?
The Chinese, when we talk about the Chinese, we're not talking about Chinese Americans, because Chinese Americans think like Americans.
Of course, no, I'm referring back to your travels. When you're in China,
when you try to put, especially if you know Chinese Americans, it's easy to make the assumption, well, their English isn't very good, but they're just like my friend that I know back in Seattle or in Los Angeles. The fundamental difference is they are actually very inward looking. They're very concentrated on the fact that, or let's say cognizant of their own ethnic identity, much more so than most Americans are. I mean, we're proud of our ethnic heritage, but most Americans think of themselves as American. I mean, I do, and I'm an immigrant, but I think of myself as an American, culturally.
With what's going on with the trade war, for example, it seems to me that in the United States, in business, we think in terms of quarterly profits. In politics, we think in terms of a 4 or 8 year presidency. In China, they think in terms of millennium.
That's very correct. The Chinese, because even some of the people that I met, when you discussed even details of a particular thing, you could tell that what they were thinking of is way, way down the road. One of the best examples I can give is specifically between the Russian dealing in Russia, which is fundamentally a corrupt society. I mean, it's always been run by thugs and crooks. And I say that with a smile because I love them dearly, but I never was under any illusion as to what they were. When we did a joint venture with them, they would always they would supply some of the personnel. The Russians would supply cronies. So we'd get some guy in his 50s or something who had paid his dues, wanted to get a salary, but he was useless. The Chinese, on the other hand, when we did a joint venture, would send their best and their brightest young kids. And their remit was very simple. Sit there and be a sponge. Learn everything there is to learn about running the business. And that's long-term thinking. And I respected that.
The Indian culture, I feel that apart from maybe a foray into an Indian restaurant, Americans have no idea of not only India but also Pakistan. Even though we have been fighting a war next door in Afghanistan for so long, but this is a huge population base. And at one point, Rossi Rollencotter of the Las Vegas Convention Authority was talking about the potential for Indians to be the next big tourism drive for Las Vegas. But yet we understand nothing about them.
The interesting thing about India, and I saw it very firsthand, was the growth of a very large middle class, which is obviously a stabilizing force in society. That doesn't mean there aren't remnants of some of the old culture, the caste system. One of the stories I always tell, because my wife was appalled, we were socially meeting with some of our partners, and we went to visit the sister of one of our partners. And when we got there, the sister greeted him by going down on her knees and kissing his feet. And my wife said, "My God, what is that?" So that's just part of the culture. It didn't mean there were any less middle class than a typical middle class. The same desires.
Yeah, let's take a break and we'll switch off your phone and we'll be right back.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia. Yeah.
Because of UMC, I'm putting my free time to good use.
Because of UMC, she keeps me on my toes.
Because of UMC and this guy, I'm here.
UMC, the highest level of care in Nevada.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
Hey, Dad? What are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Michael Kadenacy. He's the chairman of the Washoe County Republican Party, also a businessman involved all over the world and spending time not just visiting but living in various countries. And where we left off, you were talking about India. By the way, what is your business?
The business was food processing. We were building fairly large factories in all three countries.
Okay.
And distribution networks as well.
So back to this. Is America missing out on opportunity on many levels, both in terms of trade with India, and I'm going to, even though they're separate countries, but I'm going to combine India and Pakistan just because of the volume of people. It's billions of people. And also that, we could see them not only in business, but also in geopolitics. I mean, it is a huge influence.
Well, India is, if you realize, probably the largest steel company in the world is now Tata Steel, which owns what used to be British Steel and quite a few other steel companies. You're talking about Tata cars. They're probably right up there with General Motors in terms of total production. So they are making an impact on the world trade. One of the problems that they still have is a lot of internal corruption. The way they, in fact, one of my friends joked to me, he said, typical for an Indian politician was you were elected, you went to jail, and then you retired.
or in some cases came back and became prime minister again.
Exactly, something like that. But they're little by little cleaning that up, and it has been a big drag on their economy. But in the face of that all, it's still a very large growing middle class with middle class aspirations. And you're absolutely right. Travel is one of them. They do like to travel.
And there's also the other geopolitical threat, which is they are both nuclear-powered nations who have been at odds since the formation of Pakistan.
Yes, we can go back and argue the wisdom of splitting that into two countries. And
well, blame both of our own home countries here, Britain.
Exactly. But that's done, so we can't do it. But India is a natural ally to the U.S. I think we have missed the boat. They tend to get their arms from Russia, but they're no friend to China. China is always, they're looking over their shoulder at their borders because that's, I think Pakistan, it's more visible, but their real threat is China, not Pakistan. But my wife and I absolutely adored visiting there and spending, we spent sometimes as long as a month there. And we would go into the bush. We went on a tiger reserve, and we just loved the people. What I found most fascinating, it is some people looked and dwelt on, especially Americans, dwelt on the poverty. What I looked at saw the smiles on faces, and they're fundamentally a happy people, very happy people.
Well, and you can tell that from the dancing in the Bollywood movies.
Yeah.
Let's take a break, and then let's come back and talk about politics.
Okay.
Lots to talk about there. We'll be right back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
One of the most psychologically damaging things parents can do to children in divorce is disparage one another, which is why I can't believe I even have to make this commercial. Half of your kids' genetics come from this person you're spewing hate about. Your children have the right to love you both, but more than that, they deserve to love themselves.
Marilyn York might be a men's rights divorce attorney, but this is for every selfish parent. Shut up.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Michael Kadenacy. He's the chairman of the Washoe County Republican Party. So it's time to talk about politics. So Washoe County is the swing county in a swing state. And there's a lot of discussion over time about, as more and more Californians move to northern Nevada, that's going to change the makeup in terms of politics of Washoe County. But I counter that with the idea that businesses who are fed up with all the regulation and over-regulation in California and move to Nevada for various reasons, good land prices, good electric prices, and a better quality of living, as well as the tax base, are business owners. They may well be conservative. Whether they're members of the Republican Party or not is a different story, but they may well be conservative. Is that a fair way to look at this?
I think the demographic change that everybody cites about all the Californians coming in here, moving the state to the left, probably has some validity in Clark County or Las Vegas. I think your observation of what's going on in northern Nevada is probably more apropos. You see business people coming in. I think the real challenge, however, to the Republican Party in Washoe County is not appealing to the, let's say, the hardcore Republican voter. They have a high propensity to vote. They're going to vote no matter what we do. The real danger here is a growing, I call none of the above. These is IAP and other splinter parties. There are people who are fed up with both of the major parties. Our research tends to suggest that these people are more right-leaning than left-leaning. I'm not saying they're hardcore conservatives, but they're more conservative than they are liberal. And we need to address them. Those are the folks we have to win back into the Republican Party. In other words, we have to become a much bigger tent and less confrontational.
As you look at the party across the state, there are all kinds of interesting things going on. There's been recent public exchanges between Michael McDonald, the state party chairman, and the party chair of Clark County. The Clark County chair is saying, and this was, as we were taping this, this was an email that went out yesterday, saying, we're more than willing to be part of the party, but we need resources. Do you see the problems in Clark County, and do you have similar problems, for example, with the amount of dollars you have versus the amount of dollars that the Democrats have to be able to wage this political battle?
Okay, let's talk about Clark County Party first. For many, many years, it was in total disarray. A new team came in, and I think they had their head on straight. Their style may not be my style or somebody else's style. That's not the point. The point is it's their style and has the backing of their membership of their central committee. The other thing that's important is that Washoe already had one successful cycle. We ran our own programs, we raised our own money. We get no resource from the state or the national party. And I'm not complaining about that, so I think that's the way it should be. We're not on different teams and we're not in silos, but we are on different lanes. We focus on local elections, and Clark is doing the same thing. I saw the letter that came from Mr. McDonald. My only comment is I don't find it very helpful to call one of your colleagues a liar. I'm not saying whether it's true or not, that's not the issue. The issue is that tone is not one to bring a party together. Now, whether Clark needs additional resources, probably because this is the first time, probably in, I would say, a decade, that they've actually had an organized party that's putting together programs of their own, they may need some help somewhere. We in Washoe are prepared to help them. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to give them money because we have to raise money for our own programs. But what it does mean is we will work with them, show them how we did it, how we raised our own money, and share with them. And we do that with any county that wants to know how we did it. We said, this is our programs, here's how we did it, here's the skill sets that were necessary. And from that, they learn. It's not to impose that on them, it's to say, here's how we did it, take and pick and choose which one works for you. Clark has done that. As a result, we will be our people will be buying tickets to some of their fundraisers, especially their Lincoln Day. So we will support them any way we can.
Are you comfortable that the Republican Party can win back seats after what we saw in the last election cycle, where you almost had a supermajority in both houses of the legislature for the Democrats?
They have it in one. They have it in one. They have it in the Assembly.
Right.
They just don't. They're one away in the state Senate. The answer is absolutely yes. It's absolutely winnable. However, that means that has to be the focus for the county parties. The county parties need to focus on getting legislators elected, especially in competitive districts. And the best people to do that are the local parties. We're more tied in with what the locals are really thinking, who they are. It's very difficult for other organizations coming from outside the state or even at the state level to run a local campaign. They can certainly help, but it has to be led by county parties with their programs. And that's not just the legislature. Here in Washoe, we're going to be looking at a big turnover of county officials. A lot of them will be retiring who are all Republican. That's on our radar. We're looking at county supervisor. We're also looking at the school board. These are important local things, and it's local issues that are going to drive those elections.
This is where we have to end it today. Please come back soon because there's much more to talk to you about. And I enjoy the level of conversation. It's very enjoyable.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
And we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Kenny! Dad? Why are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
St. Ives Florist for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada. And we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lori Ann, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. You can also download podcasts of the show free of charge at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everywhere is Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you on the next broadcast.